Uh, hey everybody, it's your boy Moths here, and today I'm gonna be doing a response video to the Why Am I So Negative video by Penguins Zero, also known as Critical. Uh, you know, so I have it loaded up here. Let's just, let's just.
Has getting older turned me into a Debbie Downer, a sad Susie, a negative Nancy, a cynical Tinacle? Well, a lot of you seem to think so. Over the last year or so, I've gotten a bunch of emails, a lot of comments asking, why the fuck is he so negative all of a sudden? Recently, there was this thread on the subreddit, why is he so negative all of a sudden over the last couple of years? This is a new thing, he's so negative. And it really caught me by surprise that some people would think that I'm not this charismatic thunderfucker of joy, optimism, rainbows, and unicorns. But I really wanted to talk about this because I wanted to ask, when was I ever positive?
Okay, so he's, you know, I'm gonna call him Charlie, but not to be disrespectful. Calling him critical sounds kind of weird, but he's always been a really clever guy. I like the way he does, his anecdotes. When he makes, I remember I watched his other video recently saying that he doesn't really script things. He just sort of writes down a couple ideas. I think I'm remembering that correctly, and I still think he's got that fluidity he's always had. Just so you know, I've already watched this video, once before, and I just felt like, I don't know, recording my own. No, I'm not really taking this too seriously, but um, mostly, and I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've seen, you know, the video wherever it is. Um, I think it's less that he's more negative and more that just he's more hyper, and I think that's a good thing. It's a good sign. Um, because I never really thought of him as a depressed person. I always thought he was just monotone, but he seems like he's a lot, audio quality's better. The means of recording are a lot smoother, cleaner. He's got higher production values. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'll pop on the one of the playlists that plays his videos in chronological order. Um, I've got no beef with his new content. I mean, it's whatever, it's fine. I'm glad that he's doing what he likes because he mentions it in this video that he does enjoy what he's doing now more than he did before. And there is something I do disagree with him on, though. Let me see if we can get to that part.
Let's dial back the clocks. Let's rewind here. Give Father Time a hand job. Let's go back to 2010, 2011, 2012, that whole era. I was shitting on games. I wasn't nice to any of the games I played. I dropped my trousers and I put my underage butthole on the
Okay,
mouths of those games and I dropped the fat, steamy shit right in the throats. I shit on games. I was very.
okay. So here's where I actually think uh, you know, this is where he kind of I don't like to tell people they're wrong about themselves because, my interpretation of a person or their work. I mean, I guess it matters as someone who is enjoying the content, but at the same time, I gotta respect boundaries. But here's where I'm gonna break the boundary a bit. Um, I don't really think he ever like, as he's saying right now, shit on games. Um, I don't feel that in when I think about you know his videos. It I really honestly don't think that's true. I mean, clearly he made jokes about them and gags, and when there was glitches he'd make, he'd just play along with it. Um but just in general, I don't think it's I don't think that's really the attitude he sort of conveyed then. Maybe now in his newer videos, definitely. And I think that's fine. It's okay to do. I don't have any problem with that. Um, but I think people do need to realize that, you know, he was always just nothing seemed to bother this man. I kind of envy that because he would play tons of different games, both good and bad, in differing qualities, and he would, just be the same tone through everything. Hardly ever, it was like a heartbeat monitor, where he wasn't a straight flat line. He'd a couple jolts now and then sometimes you get like a whoop. Um, and it was easy to digest. It's entertaining, not in a cynical manner, but more so in a just sort of, smooth, easy to take in sort of form of comedy. Very dry humor. Very, I don't know if stoic's the right word, but very stern, but not stern in like that angry dad way. Stern and more of that, you know, just just a dude, just a dude forever being a dude, And I think this idea, or I have this idea that he's placing his newer values as a content creator onto his old stuff, where it's sort of like it's. I don't think it's true. I never got that vibe off of him, even when he was, making fun. Well, he was making fun of things, but I never, I never felt it was like something, you know, that was clear. It was sort of just a muddled. He's like, it's like a whatever. It always felt like it was a whatever. Um, he's just a whatever mood kind of guy. And now that he's being more expressive, I think it's good. Personally, I think he's becoming a. It seems like a more lively person, and that's great for anybody. I mean, I feel kind of stuck with my own depression and shit like that. I mean, everybody I know kind of, you know, feels they're sort of stuck in that way, and maybe that's just, that's a different situation. Uh, he seems like a good dude, and yeah, no, I mean, I just think that I don't know. It's just sorry. I can hear other people talking. It's distracting me. Uh, yeah, I don't think he understands sort of his own shtick or what it used to be because for him it wasn't a shtick. Maybe I'm using the wrong word, but for him it was just doing what came to him naturally, and it was funny for us. But maybe for him it was something else. I've heard of him going through some rough times. Everybody goes through rough times, and it's a pity. And I think that shared relativity between people is great. Um, I'm glad, I'm glad he's very open about things now. Having a content creator who responds to people who talk about him on his, turf, I guess you could call it. I do commend that greatly, and I'm sure Charlie's a nice guy. But I do think that there's a lot of tangled, you know, again, it's about assumptions and perceptions and or pretenses. I don't know which word I should use for that. For what I'm trying to convey or explain. Excuse me. Um, I mean, man, it's like people. It doesn't matter. People will rag on things even if they do like them. And if people don't like your newer content, they can always go back and watch your old stuff. It's still there. People love. I still go back and watch Charlie's older works. Or actually, because I'm working on a game, I usually just listen because the commentary is what we really showed up for. And it's not monotone anymore. He's a lot more lively, and it's not really what people. I hate to say it, but people grew up in because I was pretty young when I first started watching his videos. I was a bit younger, probably. You know, lower, not lower. Sorry, I was younger basically, and that monotone, dry nature appealed to me as a preteen and an early teen in high school and middle school and things like that. And now that I'm older, I still like dry humor. Um, I do enjoy things of that nature, but on the same token, it's like I don't mind a lively person. I'd rather be a lively person myself, so it's like what, back off the dude. But I get it though. I think he is a little bit wrong, but I can't tell another man he's wrong about himself because I myself am wrong about my own self. Um, there's that you and the you that isn't you, and then there's the idea of you. And when you're really popular, there's like a ton of different ideas about you. And again, I'm not trying to rag on him. I'm sure, again, he seems like a swell lad. Um, he seemed like he was alright back then. Again, I couldn't tell he was depressed or just, maybe his environment or his situation was what, life and art, even though they're separate things, they're two separate things, they do influence one another quite often, I believe. And we live in a world where fiction is prevalent even in reality now because of the way things are. And I think that we develop our own fictions about other people, and I think that we've done that unfairly to this man, uh, and to many other people who create content. And as someone who is struggling to just, you know, survive and make my own content eventually, working on you know, working on video games. Ooh, uh, yeah, I understand. And Charlie rose to the top. He got in the boxing ring and he knocked out video games one after another. But I never felt he was tearing them apart, and I never felt he was shitting on them. Uh, I always felt he kind of disassociated himself through the act of playing rather than what gamers or people who play games usually do with games, and they get more engaged with them and they stay hooked. Even if it's a bad game, they're still like, okay, well, I'm going to try and influence this somehow. But for him, just listening to his commentaries, he was engaging with the game and he was making up, neat mythoses as he played. But at the same time, it's like it's all in the tone, man. Really, it's all pretty much just. I mean, how do people perceive tone? Well, my nose is itchy. Sorry. Well, let me think about this for a bit. I think that we didn't perceive, or at least I didn't perceive his tone as being a depressive one, or even a response to a depressing scenario. And again, hardship comes about in life, from all walks of life, and I can respect that he is being honest about this. I'm sure that, you know, his art came about from being a lot less lively, because I don't want to say he sounded mopey, but he definitely sounded, brisker in tone, and I might be repeating myself. I do kind of, for comedy, I do prefer a drier, brisker, less lively tone from Critical or Penguin Zero or Charlie or whatever you want to call him. Um, but I completely understand that you can't really do that forever because, we are confining in what he confined in, but he grew as a person and his main core audience didn't. Now that's not to say his audience hasn't grown. Obviously, the man's got tons of subscribers. How many's he got? Yeah, 3 million people. Like, damn, you know. But it's it, we whenever we enjoy content from a specific creator, um, I have the itchiest nose in the world right now. I'm so sorry. Um, whenever we enjoy content from a creator, I think fanatics or fans tend to sort of they judge the creator based on his work too much usually, and I think that's a nasty habit. And what I mean by that is you compare him with his work, and you don't want the work to grow the way he does because you want the work to gradually just get more and more entertaining in some way, or at least more refined or higher in quality. And for art, usually we think of that and we see that and we see it in a very strict towering way. Whereas for people branch out when they get older or when life situations change or both. Um, and I do honestly think that it's not a bad thing that he's much livelier. When he first started streaming, I wasn't really into watching streams. I don't really like them that much personally. That's just a me thing. That's not to say I've never watched them. There are some I have, and some I've even enjoyed. But I prefer, you know, videos that I can just have playing in the background while I do my own thing on my computer, and that's great for I mean, he does the podcast with his friends. By the way, if you want to get me on there, hit me up, dog. I'd be happy to have a discussion about things for you, but I'm a nobody, so what's it matter? Uh, gotta love plugs. Um, but let me think here for a bit. Again, here, I'm not one for discussion, I suppose. At least not alone on my own. But yeah, I think that I keep repeating certain phrases and words. My bad. I gotta kick that habit. I want to sound more fluid, and he sounds more fluid now. And another thing I think plays into it is expectations, and meeting with reality. And the thing is that expectations don't meet with reality. They hardly ever do. Let's be honest here. Um, we as people who watch his content find patterns that we recognize, and when there's a change in the pattern, we get we we say, well, what's wrong with him? Why is he suddenly changing the pattern? That shows a negative sign, and it's not. Change is, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it is a thing that is a natural occurring process, and it can even happen through content and content creation and enjoying the things that we indulge in. Um, I again, I think he seems like a very honest fellow. I'm glad he's not taking this too close to heart, it seems, but he's addressing people, and I think that's the best thing you can do, really, is the fact that he cares enough about his own content now to address you and me and the whole world, really, even though not literally, but metaphorically. The people who bear witness to his creations. Even though his content, people say, oh, it's derivative, it's just video game footage with a voiceover. But it's like, well, yeah, but there's meaning to it for people because it's something that's just chill for me, really. I mean, I used to I used to have problems just getting through certain days back in school, and Charlie was one of the few content creators who I never really diverged from. I think there was a while I stopped watching him. I was like, something else will do with me. And that's nothing against him. He's always been sort of, you know, his way of doing things is still the same, but there are these few differences that obviously people have taken offense to, or maybe they're just cool with, or, whatever response people had. And, I don't know. I don't know. This isn't really something you can just fix or change. I wouldn't want him to just go back to being depressed if that means his videos will be more entertaining, because I would rather see something that's more honest. I don't want him to fake being monotone anymore. If he's more lively, then let him be more lively. I think it's a good thing for him. Um, that's about it. So, yeah, there's my thoughts on this completely random thing that I doubt anyone expected out of me. Um, I saw this video and I felt, why not? Why not talk about this thing that no one will care about to hear from me. uh, so, you know, if you're watching this, Charlie, good luck, man. You done great so far. I don't think you've really done anything wrong. It just seems that this happens to a lot of people. The old fans probably don't really like a lot of how the newer things are because they're not following that patented, critical formula. Um, but in a way, I think they still are. The spirit is still there. The intention to entertain yourself while also entertaining other people. At least that's how I perceived it. It's still going to this day. So anyways, that's the end of this video. If you liked the video, remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Um, See ya.